What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about the questions that y'all had about my film, Rim to the Unknown. Alright guys, so if you guys watched my last film, my last video, Rim to the Unknown, I was really proud of it. It was a journey that I wasn't sure I was going to be able to tell the whole story because I had a lot of issues. Like I said before, I lost a lot of the footage. Some of the footage got messed up when I was trying to transfer it, so there was issues with that. But finally, I was able to edit all of that, and it took a long time. It probably took longer than it took me to do Rim to Rim to Rim. If you guys watch the video, you'll know that that was a super long time. But in that video, I wasn't able to tell all the stories that I wanted to tell. Like, there was a lot of side stories. There were 6 other people on the hike. They had their own stories. Romero and Willie had their own story when they went on the other side and didn't come back. If you guys haven't watched the video, that is a spoiler. But there's a lot of stories that I wanted to tell, and I wasn't able to tell it just because it was already a long film and I didn't want to go too long. So in this video, I want to answer some of those questions that y'all had about the film. So let's go ahead and start right now. And the first question is not really from you guys, but it's a question that I think that you guys should know, is why I wanted to do Rim to Rim to Rim. So in the video, I kind of mentioned that the reason I did it was because it was epic and it was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime journey. And I think that it lived up to all those expectations. It was epic. Every view, every angle of the Grand Canyon was glorious. It was just breathtaking, and I really loved it. And that's the main reason I wanted to go, because I haven't really been to the Grand Canyon. I went when I was a younger kid, but didn't really get to experience it a lot. This was definitely a trip that I will remember for the rest of my life, and I'm glad that I was able to show it to you guys. So I went on the trip because I thought it was going to be epic, and it really was. All right, so the next question is, what was our goal out there? And I also alluded to this in the video. I told you guys that we wanted to do a 30-minute pace. I actually said in the video we wanted to do a 20-minute pace, which would have been too fast. We actually wanted to do a 30-minute pace, and the Rim to Rim to Rim is about 44 miles. So that means our goal was going to be to do it in about 22 to 24 hours. And if you guys watched the video, you'll know we did not get anywhere close to that. But also our goal was to hike it the whole way and basically to stay together in the pack, not go too far ahead of another person. And I know there was an issue with the North Rim where Willie and Romero got left behind, but we didn't really leave them behind that bad. It's not as bad as it seems. It could have been worse if we left them somewhere in the middle of the canyon, but we didn't. We left them on one side of the rim. And let's go and talk about it. Let's go and talk about that. One of the questions that somebody asked, it was Christy Cryer. She asked, how long did Willie and Romero stay in the porta potty? Because that's what happened. Whenever we got to the north rim of the Grand Canyon, to the North Kaibab trailhead, it was a dire situation. It was crazy. Like, we were all already tired from climbing the North Kaibab rim. And that is about a 7,000 feet climb or 6,000 feet climb. And that climb has like 22 to 25 degree climbs. So you're climbing up these steep stairs, steep hills, and it's hard. Not to mention there's altitude. We were all from flatland areas, Ohio and also Texas. We're in Southeast Texas, so we're at sea level. So all of us from sea level are going all the way up to 7,000 feet. That altitude is affecting us, making that climb even harder. We're taking 2 or 3 steps and having to catch our breaths because it's just that tough. And then when we reached the top of the North Kaibab Trail, we were all tired and spent and thinking that we would want to quit at that point. At this point, Romero decided that he did not want to go on. He was already cramping a good bit. I think he also threw up some, so he was having a lot of issues, and he did not want to go back into the canyon, because when you're into the canyon, you have to do the climb all the way up South Kaibab again. So if you can't make it all the way across, you're going to be in trouble. It's better to be at one of the rims. So that's what his thinking was. And at the rim, there was no cell reception. There was no water. The North Rim was basically closed for winter, so there was really nobody there. There's nobody camping out there. Literally nobody over there for miles. So what happened with Willie Romero, they thought that they had somebody to help them. So we did stop a car before me and Tony left, and we asked them to get a ranger for them. So at that point, it was already getting cold up over there. Me and Tony were getting cold, and we decided to go ahead and finish our hike and go on and leave Willie Romero up there together. We're not leaving them alone. We're leaving them together because Willie, he could have finished the whole thing, but he decided to stay back with Romero to help him out. And their trip up there was not an easy out. It was a hard out because, like I said, there's nothing at the North Rim. Everything's closed. There's no water. And what they had to do was walk about 2 miles to try to find something, because whenever they asked a car for help, they would either offer none, or I think one person actually said, don't you guys have any type of emergency blankets? Like, they offered no help up there. They stopped about 3 or 4 cars and nobody helped them out. They wouldn't offer them rides, wouldn't offer them anything. So they were up there by themselves, and they decided to find some shelter, and they walked about 2 miles and they found the handicap porta potty, which was, you know, their saving grace up there because it was getting cold, getting to freezing temps, so they needed shelter, and they stayed in that porta potty from 8 p.m. all the way until 6 a.m. the next morning. So that's what happened with them. They stayed up there. They had to really try to stay warm the best that they could. Willie actually got toilet paper and wrapped his body with toilet paper, stuffed his jacket with toilet paper, wrapped his legs with it because he was only wearing shorts. So they were doing everything they could to stay warm. No, they did not cuddle each other, but they did try to do everything they could to stay warm by staying in that porta potty, you know, even clogging up the vent that was in there and just trying to keep warm. And they made it fine. The next morning, they ended up going to another bathroom that was more of a standalone building, it was actual structure, and they stayed there. And they found reception finally, and they were able to call, and they found out there was a shuttle that was gonna pick them up, but it didn't pick them up until 4 p.m. Luckily for them, there were only 2 people that were going to take the shuttle, so the guy said that he would come at 2 p.m. So they ended up taking that shuttle at 2 p.m. and taking that shuttle back to South Kaibab, and it was about a 4-hour trip and $90 per person. So it was a hard out for them, but they were able to make it. It is a crazy story. Some people said that they would never leave somebody behind, and like I said, we did not leave them behind. We left them at the other side of the rim where it was going to be safer, because if they were trapped in the rim, it's going to be harder for them because they have to make that climb, do all that stuff. It was just a harder out being on the North Rim because nobody was over there. So yeah, Willie and Romero stayed together to be safe. And that's what happened. It was a hard out, but they made it out there safely. I definitely wouldn't recommend anybody else to do that for sure. But another question that somebody asked me was, if we were on the North Rim and we had an easy out, like if there was a shuttle waiting for us right there to take us back to the South Rim, would we take it? And I actually think that we probably would have. I think that me and Willie, Tony, Romero definitely would have taken it. I don't know about the other guys, I can't speak for them, but I know for sure at that point, after that climb, it took, I think, 4 hours to climb up the North Rim. I think that we probably would have took it if it was an easy out. If it was a shuttle, or if we had some friends waiting for us, some of us definitely would have took it. I think that I may have took it, but knowing that it was a hard out, my thinking at that point was, I don't think that I can do it. I don't have enough water with me. I'm in trouble. I need to go back down because I am getting cold, and that was a thing. Also, the emergency blankets. I think I talked about the emergency blankets in another video, and I told y'all that that was something that really saved us. The emergency blankets, when we got up to the North Rim, me and Willie, we actually left some of our gear over at Manzanita, thinking that we're going to come back down because we wanted to lighten our load. So at Manzanita, about 7 miles down the trailhead, when we first got there, me and Willie lightened our load. We took out some of our other gear, some of our clothing that was really making our packs big. I took out my long sleeve shirt and my short sleeve shirt. Willie took out his long sleeve shirt, and we left it over at Manzanita, thinking that we're going to come back. So at the North Rim, we didn't have any other clothing to put on ourselves, and it was cold. It was like 30 degrees over there, and we're sweating, and it's getting colder by the second. So at that point, when we were thinking about what we're gonna do, are we gonna wait with Romero, or are me and Tony gonna go back down? We took out these emergency blankets, and I actually wrapped myself in it and put my jacket over the emergency blanket. and that's how I stayed warm. So that's where the emergency blankets came into the story. And also whenever me and Tony went down, and I told you guys that we actually slept on the trails, we decided to sleep on the trails because Tony was getting nauseated. So he said he needed some rest, and we rested 30 minutes. And that's when I also took out my emergency blanket and covered my legs, and we literally slept on the trails for 30 minutes. Like, I was in the middle of the trail on the dirt, sleeping underneath the stars. And like I said in the video, it was beautiful. You could just see the sky, the stars. It was something actually pretty beautiful, but also scary, because at that point we were kind of unknown of how this trip was gonna go. And at that point, it wasn't going too well. All right, so this is a question. It said, what did y'all eat along the trail? Was it scary hiking in the cliffs at night? How did you spend the night at the rest stop? Sleep on the ground? So yeah, let's see, answer that first question. What did we eat along the trail? I actually posted a video of a lot of the stuff that I brought. I will post it up here. I think it's gonna be here. Hopefully it's not up here, but I think it's gonna be here. But basically what I had in my pack was gels. I had a bunch of these things. These are like little Kind bars. Really good. I ate these. This is like, you know, 90 calories per bar. So I was eating these. We also had jelly beans. We had trail mix. We had beef jerky. We had a lot of stuff, especially with everybody in the pack. We were all sharing the food. I know Dave brought a ton of food, so we were eating a lot of that. And I actually ate 90% of what I brought on the trail, so we ate a lot of food. We had everything. We were not going to starve on that trail for sure, because we had so much food. Everybody was carrying it. The next question he asked was it scary hiking in the cliffs at night? Well, it was scary and not scary, because you could not see how far you would fall if you did fall. But it was scary because there was this black abyss of the cliffside that you could not see. All you could see was darkness, and if you fell, you knew that you were going to die. A lot of people seem to think that my 360 footage kind of exaggerated the hills or the edge or the cliffside of the trail, but I don't think it did. I think that that was the reality of it. It was pretty narrow. It's probably, you know, I want to say 4 or 5 feet at some points of those trails, because it did get pretty narrow. Not all of it, but some of it was like that. And if you fell and tripped off the edge, you're dead. There is no surviving that. So it was scary, but the more that you got around it, the more you were on the trail, the more you got used to it. It was still scary, but you got used to being so close to the edge. And then the last question he asked was, how did you spend the night at the rest stop? Sleep on the ground? So yeah, we did take a lot of rest during this hike. And what we did whenever we needed rest, like me and Tony, we slept on the trails, like I said before, but the guys, they were waiting for us at Manzanita, and they have picnic tables over there. So they would sleep on the picnic table seat area, or they would sleep on top of it. I'm not sure how they did it, but that's basically how we would sleep. Wherever we could find a flat ground, we would sleep. And then again, when we hit Phantom Ranch, we also slept over there. It was picnic benches. That's where we slept basically whenever we needed some rest. I think we probably slept for about an hour and a half total over there, maybe more, who knows. Here's a question. Did you need any permits since you were in the park for over 24 hours? Also, any gear changes if there is the next time, both things to bring and things to leave behind. So we did not need any backcountry permits because we were not camping out there. You only need those type of permits if you were actually bringing out a tent and camping out on the trails. There are some areas, you can go to Cottonwood, there's a campsite over there, and then there's Phantom Ranch, there's also a campsite over there, but you do need backcountry permits. We were planning on doing it in less than 24 hours, but even so, you don't need a permit if you're going to be hiking the trails throughout the night. You might need one. I'm not super certain about that, but I don't think so. I think that you only need those backcountry permits if you're actually planning on setting up camp, having a tent, and we had none of that. I actually thought when we were first doing the trip that we were to go rim to rim, sleep at North Kaibab, and then go back to South Rim the next day. But Tony told me that we were not doing that. We were just going to go and try to do it in 24 hours. So that was a shock to me about a week before the trip, because I thought we were going to camp out at one of the rims and then come back the next day, but we didn't. So no, you do not need a backcountry permit for what we did. And in terms of what stuff, if I did it again, what would I bring? I think one thing that I would definitely bring is a 3-liter bladder. I only had a 2-liter bladder, and I ran out of waters 2 times. I ran out of water before I hit Cottonwood, and then I ran out of water after Manzanita, up the climb of North Kaibab, because at North Kaibab there was no water at all. Luckily for me, Tony did give me some water, so I was able to drink some of that. But I would definitely bring a 3-liter bladder with me for my next trip instead of a 2-liter, because I just need more water. I'm a bigger guy. I need more water. A 3-liter bladder would definitely be something that I would bring. I think he also asked what is something that I would not bring. For me, I would not bring so much clothing. Like for our weather, it started off at 30 degrees at the South Rim, and I had my tank top, I had my shirt, I had my long sleeve, and then I had my jacket. After about a mile, I took off my jacket, took off my shirt, took off my long sleeve, and I was just wearing my tank top. So for me, I don't think I would actually need extra clothing. I would only bring my tank top and probably my jacket, and that's it. Definitely didn't need those other bits of clothing. The emergency blanket I would definitely bring again, but I would not bring as much clothing because that clothing actually took a lot of space in my pack. So that was a little bit of an issue with me. I had too much clothing and it made my pack way too big. Here's another good question. They asked, did you consider taking Bright Angel instead of South Kaibab up? So for our trip, what we did was South Kaibab to North Kaibab, back up South Kaibab. At Phantom Ranch, right before you start to climb up South Kaibab or Bright Angel, you can choose which one you want to go. Bright Angel is about 2 miles longer than South Kaibab, but it has less of an incline. South Kaibab is shorter, but there's a steeper incline. So it's up to you what you want to do. And there was a lot of debate between Tony and Dave on which one they should take, because they actually had been to the Grand Canyon before. And Dave said that the shorter was better. Tony said that the Bright Angel would be better just because it's going to be easier. I think the average incline on Bright Angel is about 10%, and the average incline on South Kaibab is somewhere between 15 to 25%. So there's a pretty big difference in the grade, but in the end of the day, we took South Kaibab up. I think in my mind as well, the shorter was better, because at that point we are so tired, we're so spent. I think any bit of climbing is going to be tough on us. It was basically the distance that was the part that was tough on us for sure at the end, not the climbs. The climbs were tough, no doubt, but I think that the shorter distance was better for us. And you know, who knows, Bright Angel might be better. Maybe next time I will take Bright Angel up instead of going up South Kaibab, because South Kaibab was a pretty steep climb. So this is another question. They asked, how long did it take you? You're gonna have to watch the video for that. I don't want to tell you. They also asked, how much quicker could you have done it if you were running solo? I think if we were running solo, you probably could have done it quicker, but we weren't running, we were hiking. So there was no time limit on us. We didn't really have a strict time. We just wanted to finish. If we were running, and I think there was talk during the trip that we should come back and train for this, we probably could do it faster that way, but I think the climbs are still going to be tough on us, especially since we are all sea level runners and we're not used to the altitude. The altitude really affected us, really affected me for sure. Like I said, I could only take a few steps before I had to catch my breath. So I don't know what the answer is to that, but if we were running it on the flat parts, we probably could have done a little bit faster. Who knows? And then he asked, I've heard of Rim to River. Would that be just as exciting? So I think that Rim to River would be like South Kaibab to Phantom Ranch, or the Colorado River, which is basically Phantom Ranch, and then back up North Kaibab or Bright Angel. And that would be a good trip too. I think that's about 14, 15 miles, because you don't have to do the 7 miles in the canyon. It definitely would be cool, but I think doing rim to rim to rim is just a little bit more epic, right? It's not many people do rim to rim to rim. Rim to river, also hard too. It just matters what you want to do on your adventure. For us, rim to rim was what we wanted to do, and I don't regret it at all. Definitely, if I would go back, I might do rim to rim, or I might even do rim to river and then spend the day over there, experience other things over there, and then go back up. So I definitely do want to go back one day. Hopefully I come back sooner than later. This is a question they asked, is there a race in the Grand Canyon? So yeah, the Grand Canyon is one of the 7 natural world wonders of the world. So they protect it pretty hard, and they do not allow huge groups over there to be out there. I think if you have a group larger than 15 that you need a permit for, and they will not permit a race of 200, 300, 500 people over there. There are some races on the top side because you could race on the top side of the rim, but you can't race into it. I don't think there's a race that goes through the Grand Canyon. That would just not be what the park wants. And it's a really protected piece of property. I don't think they're going to have races. People do FKTs over there, but they're just solo runs where you don't need a permit from the Grand Canyon, whatever government. So there's that. How steep is it? So I found this information. It says South Kaibab, the trail descends 4,820 feet in total with an average of 25% grade. And then North Kaibab is a 7-mile climb, and the average climb on there is 15 to 20%. And again, that's going to be a higher altitude. 7,000 feet is where you're going to be at the end of the day. So both super tough climbs, and I definitely felt that. I think there wasn't really a big issue of the steepness for me, especially since we were going so slow. It was definitely a lot to do about the altitude, and then towards the end when we finished the next day, it was about how tired we were because we were already sleepy. We had not really slept that whole time and we were just tired. So going up the second time was going to be tough, but I think that the climb up North Kaibab was the tougher climb for me rather than the climb up South Kaibab. All right, what regret do you have from hiking the canyon? My number one regret, and this is coming from a guy that had over 2.5 or 3 hours of video footage, is not taking enough pictures and not taking enough video. I wish I would have took more, especially with my 360 camera. I wish I took a lot more of that footage up on South Kaibab, up on North Kaibab. It was just some awesome footage that I did take, and I wish I took more. I wish I took more pictures. I don't know when I'm going to go up to the Grand Canyon again, so I wish I took more of everything. So when you are over there hiking, make sure to stop, take pictures, take video if you guys do that, but definitely take time to just soak it all in. And for me, that means taking pictures and taking video. So I wish I did a lot more of that. All right, this is the next question is, can you take a mule up? So I did do some research on this, and Dave actually took his girlfriend to Rim to River, and they actually stayed at Phantom Ranch, and she ended up twisting her ankle, and he was trying to find a way to take a mule up for her. They would not let her take a mule up. They would only take her bags. So they only took her pack, and that cost him about $80. But from what I found on the internet, I don't know if it's true, they say that you can take a mule up, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you about $800 to take a mule up from Phantom Ranch. So you're going to really want to have to pay that money. And they do say on there, going down is optional, going up is mandatory. So make sure if you are going to do this hike that you are going to be able to make it back up, because that is really an issue when you're over there. Here's a question. How did Tony feel completing the challenge 28 years after his DNF? So I kind of missed out on this story. I did have it in another memory card, but I think that it got erased. But Tony actually has been to the Grand Canyon, I think 3 times. He went there with his father a long time ago, and he did rim to rim. And he said that was one of the hardest things he ever did. He actually was trying to do rim to rim to rim, but he only made it from North Kaibab to South Kaibab before he was throwing up. I think he said he threw up 7 times. He was having issues. He actually said that he thought that he actually might die out there. So that was something that was scary for us, because he said he was only 39 years old when he did that, and he had issues about doing that. And he was planning on going back, but he could not do it. So in 1993 or 1994, I want to say, he did not complete his trip of doing rim to rim to rim. So 28 later with us, he was finally able to complete the rim to rim to rim. And I know that he was super happy to be able to accomplish that. It took him 28 years to finally do it, and he did it. Tony is an awesome dude. He is one of my running mentors, running heroes. He is just a fantastic runner. Tony is awesome. I know that he had some issues at the beginning, and he was struggling at the beginning, but there was a rise of Tony. I don't know if I showed that in the video. He struggled at the beginning, but as the longer we got through it, he got stronger and stronger, to the point where he was actually pulling me up those hills, pulling me up those ascents. He was really strong towards the end, and I'm glad that he did. I'm glad I did with all those guys. It was just an awesome, awesome adventure, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I think that's going to be all the questions I'm going to answer today. Those were a lot of them. If you guys have any more, I will answer them down below. But I do hope you enjoyed that video of the Rim to the Unknown. I actually submitted it to some film festivals. Who knows if they'll take it. I know one of them before has sent me back feedback and said that my stuff was a little bit too vloggy, but hopefully with the 360 footage, maybe it won't be as vloggy as it was before. So who knows what's gonna happen with that video. But for now, I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud of all the guys that finished this rim to rim with me, and I'm thankful that you guys were able to watch it and have enough interest to ask me questions about it. And again, if you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll answer them about rim to rim. All right guys, hope you guys enjoyed this long Q&A of my Rim to the Unknown video. If you guys did, give me a like, leave me a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.